something, see something. This is Souq Business Landscape. Hello and welcome to your regular drug. This is SBL and welcome to Souq Business Landscape. My name is Chooks, John Rogers Chooks, and it's good, very good to have you with us today. On today's episode, we will be looking at some important updates affecting Nigeria. Not just Nigeria, Africa, our economy, development, and certain beautiful things. We will start with infrastructure. Yes, you heard me very well. Edo State is where we'll be heading to. Now, there is this particular bird that flew in and told us that somebody somewhere wants to borrow 100 billion. You heard it. It's called Borrow. Support project keys. Now, we'll kind of dissect that, talk about it. We also heard about the nursing school. So you need to hang in there. Then we'll get to oil and gas. What is happening there? We are supposed to be making a whole lot of money thanks to what is happening with Israel and Iran. But as we speak, Nigerian refineries are still not working. How did we cross borders? We will find out. We also get to spend some time and tell us about this particular anger and corruption that has to do with what is being investigated by oil marketers. Prices go up, crude go up. Should our own prices also go up? Now we are being told that fuel, PMS, petrol as we call it on this side, will sell for more than 1,000. Some pump stations are selling that already. They didn't even tell you when that price went up. We also talk about that. What should government do and where should we be going to? There are several good news that we also get to discuss here. There's a deal with Nigeria, Brazil. And we also have this particular thing churning up between Nigeria and India. You hear all that here. So you don't need to go anywhere. But before we get to the nitty-gritty, one of this, I have the best set of human beings you have on this side of the earth. You heard me right. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, please join me as I welcome to Souq Business Landscape to you for us today from my utmost left, the handsome Emmanuel.
Put on there.
Oh, apologies.
The honorable handsome honorable. Very nice to be here once again to share and, of course, bring spotlight into these issues.
Very nice to be here. Yes. Then on my, I won't say far right, but he's always taking the right side of the divide. Please join me as I welcome Priye. Priye, how you doing?
Hello, Mr. Chooks. Hello, Obalende. Hello, Emmanuel. It's good to be here with you again today.
I don't know, for those of you that read this particular book in secondary school, I just keep remembering that I keep hearing say the beautiful words are not yet born.
I knew
that guy is a lie.
I knew that was the book he was going.
But you know it's a lie, right?
I don't know.
The beautiful ones are here with us.
Well,
so join me as I welcome Bola to SBL today.
So I'm the beautiful one.
Please up now.
It's good to be here. It's good for us to talk about. I think the beautiful ones have been born. I just believe that some unbeautiful ones are not allowing the beautiful ones to shine.
No, then they said the beautiful ones are not yet born, so the class will echo and the ugly ones refuse to die. Okay.
He said it. We didn't say it. He said it.
Well, everybody represent their constituency. As
an honorable, I was trying to stay on the right side this time.
Okay, it's good. So let's get straight into the first story of the day. So we also want to use this opportunity to say thank you to every crew person, every camera person, everyone editing, those in the MCL. You guys are doing great. We're not also forgetting Chike. He's eyeballing me somehow. Now let's get straight to that 100 billion issue. Edo State is seeking. Now, I want you to circle that particular word, seeking, but we'll get to ask that question later. Seeking 100 billion loan from First Bank, also circle that bank, First Bank to be precise, to finance various infrastructure projects across the states. This particular news was disclosed in a letter that was signed by the Secretary to the state government, Umar. And he sent this particular letter to the House of Assembly. The Speaker, Blessing, read and requested during plenary that lawmakers at the committee should sign. Now, the committee of a whole gave their approval describing the loan, in quote, loan, as an essential to completing ongoing infrastructure work. Put that, the load of quotes is going to come into this. Now, the clerk of the House was directed to forward the approval resolution to the governor for immediate implementation. Now, let's go back. for immediate implementation. But the first word they used there was seeking. Does that kind of tell us that, okay, this is just for information sake? We don't collect this money. Approval don't they already? I'm looking at the wording and asking myself.
I think they're seeking the loan. They've gotten the approval. It's the loan that they are seeking. They've gotten the approval to seek.
And they're just trying to follow due process.
Follow due process, but they are sending the governor to sign. When the bank never give them the money, is it possible?
No, don't worry about that.
So I shouldn't worry about that. Okay, now let's get back to this particular question.
But I think due process demands that when a governor or even the president wants to get a loan,
he
writes to the
Assembly,
to the House of Assembly.
I want to
the purpose for which that loan is going to be used. That we want in order to get a nod or an approval from the House. So in the case when
that's
the House,
what's happening here.
Yes, that's what.
So he has gotten approval to go and borrow.
No. I think he sought the permission of the House. So you can see the speaker
after seeking the loan from the bank.
No.
I don't think he has sought the loan from the bank.
And the House has given him
I think that was done concurrently.
I think Chuks trying to be mischievous here. Follow the process. Follow the process. And follow the process.
Okay, while they are following this process, let's answer this particular question. The governor is a new governor. It's barely a year. Are you trying to tell us that the administration that is barely a year is hands in pockets going to look for money? What happened to the money the president is supposed to leave behind?
Me, I'm more concerned with the ongoing projects. Is it the ones he met or the ones he's about to start?
So it's looking like it's what he wants to start.
Because they said ongoing projects.
So it's one he met on ground. You say ongoing project.
Okay.
Obviously. Is there a budget for 2025 or not? So
let's start with Priye.
Sometimes
you seem to be in the know.
Well, I just from the information you got from what we've seen. First of all, if they said ongoing project, obviously there are projects that have been on ground. Probably some of them could have been on ground before he got into office. Others he had already started and probably needs finishing. And so those are the loans he's seeking. However, one thing that I'm concerned about is the joy, the speed with which the House of Assembly is granting that loan, and the speaker
granting the approval for
the loan, and is at the same time.
You are speaking from a banker's perspective.
Yes, because the money may not be there.
He's telling the people, he's telling the honorable members. I mean, he's directing the relevant committees in the House to make sure that they append their signature and send it back to the government, because they need to be, the governor himself need to append his signature by way of assenting. So the thing is, whilst they are so forthcoming,
you are saying it like that. Are you within the government?
No, it's obviously there. I think the story just you're just there. You could see everything.
The story tells itself.
So yes. So the thing is, since they were forthcoming in doing that, they should also take it upon themselves as the responsibility. The relevant committee that has been saddled with the responsibility of overseeing those projects in agriculture, because there will be a ministry of agriculture, like the commission of agriculture in Edo State.
For him, they are talking about the School of Nursing.
The School of Nursing is part of the project. Because the projects they are spread. So the Ministry of Health also will be involved, because the School of Nursing is there. Then the Ministry of Education as well will be there. So those relevant committees in the House of Assembly should make sure they are on their toes. That this 100 billion naira that the governor sought from First Bank, how much are we giving to nursing, to that? How much are we giving to?
I was going there because
how much are we giving here?
No.
Sorry, you tell me
that information is not there.
100 billion for the School of Nursing.
No.
For other things.
They didn't tell us, John. They didn't tell us.
Let me answer that question. Now, somebody else started this project.
Yes.
Which project?
This project that money is being collected.
There are many projects.
There are many projects in it.
The ongoing
This particular ongoing project.
Ongoing project.
Be it X or the XX.
The ongoing project.
Dear Emmanuel, Honorable Emmanuel, apologies once again. When these projects were started, budgets were made for this project.
Yes.
What happened to those budgets?
Money may not be available. Okay.
Yeah. No. Because this explanation always comes up anytime budgets happen. Budgets is this is the money I need. It's not necessarily saying the money is there.
Available.
Yes, the money may not be available.
I'm budgeting this amount. I need it to do this project.
It
not be there. Now, Edo State, by virtue of statistics that will come out from MBS, every year the max they get as IGR in a year is 44 billion. 44 billion naira
in a year.
In a year.
In a month? No, it can't be in a year.
Check.
It can't be in a year.
No, hang on. Wait, don't worry.
Hope you know Edo State is oil producing.
I said.
No, when has that ever been anything for any state?
It has. There's a bit of derivation they get.
That's a little bit.
Yeah.
The 13%.
Okay. So let's
derivation fund.
So this is where we are. Why I gave that analysis figure is when you put revenue to debt profile, right? It's now from what Nigerian Bureau of Statistics brought out as at the December 2024 last, because this was really together. They said their debt profile is about 116.
Who for Edo State?
For Edo State, 116. That's the debt that they have. So when your IGR in a quarter,
billion, right?
Yeah, billion. And then your IGR in a quarter gives you about 44 billion. So you have to clarify in a quarter.
Okay.
44 billion. So you're not looking at. So I have to clarify. It was in a quarter. First quarter of 2025. So you know there's already a gap. So they're asking for 100 billion. Because when you put 100 billion with the money we already have as IGR, it gives you 144. It eclipses the 116. Because it means you now have change. 144 minus 116, you now have change.
Honorable, can you turn off your microphone, please? Now, Honorable, as you are bringing light to this, let's tell us also, as they've got to the State Assembly to get approval for this.
Yes.
Did they also tell us how they're going to repay back?
Now, essentially, what...
don't speak grammar, just hit the
number. When
he's not speaking for the Edo State.
Wait, look at this person.
He's asking if they told us, but they did not.
They didn't tell us. But let's do it like this. So states...
Let's do it like this?
Let me explain it like this.
Okay, better.
So states are allowed to incur debts. Debt is not a problem. Every time, even the president tells us, debt is not a problem.
Like, seriously?
You can now. That's why you have debt
if you collect
revenue
ratio, it's not a problem.
Yes,
even the US has more debt than almost every country. And everybody is still looking at them as a superpower.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if you tie these loans that you collect to projects that eventually will become something that you can do in the economy, you understand? So nobody should have a problem. Nobody should have a problem with that. Why I feel this 100 billion they might come back to ask for more is they are tying that money. Yes, they are tying that money to not just ongoing projects, but to new ones. This nursing loan is a new project.
It's a new project.
No, hold on.
Hold on your microphone. Now I'm coming to you, Bola. Now
they just established a bill to. Oh, sorry, they just passed a bill to establish the School of Nursing. That's all as regards the School of Nursing. It wasn't mentioned. It wasn't mentioned if there's any funds that's been set aside.
Come back again to ask for more money. That I said they'll come back to ask for more money again.
Okay.
All right.
Dear, should I go with honorable or?
I'm honor. I have honor. I have integrity.
Thank you very much. Now you're also very curious.
I'm very curious.
Okay. Now let's get to this. The federal government under this present administration wants $1 trillion economy, and they are telling banks to recapitalize. The base is 500 billion. Now, in the last time we checked, the only two banks that have met that, and that happens to be Zenith and Access Bank. Now we are seeing now we are seeing a first bank that wants to loan a state 100 billion, when we know states are bad debtors.
Especially this state that currently owes over $500 billion, both domestic and international.
Dear Honorable Bola, how is this 100 billion from First Bank? How is it visible?
Is your fear that it will liquidate the bank?
I'm just asking someone that has a lot of experience.
Okay. In what?
In the banking sector.
No, in borrowing. The truth of the matter is, for states, giving loans to states is very, very
risky.
It is quite risky. That's the truth of it. States. Federal government, of course, yes, they have so many places with which they can, borrow from and all of that. But states, especially states that, their IGR is not so solid. They're still, well, Edo State has actually been doing well. I mean, when they were having a conversation as regards which states cannot pay the minimum wage or not, which one can afford to pay, which one cannot afford to pay, Edo State has actually been doing well. But then, with over 500 billion in debt, as at, when they want to borrow this particular 100 billion, and whether or not First Bank can afford it, I don't think that should be a problem.
Okay. In this age of recapitalization?
No, I don't think that should be a problem. And I don't think that First Bank would ever struggle to meet that.
No, I don't think so. Too.
I don't think First Bank
cannot.
I don't think First Bank, if they've not declared yet, it's probably because maybe they are in talks to absorb some other banks. Maybe there's liquidation, maybe there's merger talks, acquisition talks are ongoing, and that's why they have not yet come out to say, hey, we are ready. But I can assure you that First Bank is not one of those banks that will struggle, to get that the CBN money. So, given those 800 billion, believe me, you, we define that it's not a problem for First Bank.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just more concerned for the states.
Okay,
first they can afford it.
What Emmanuel said, I already have that one in mind, that they are going to come back. Probably this time not to the same bank. yes, not the same bank. 1, 2. The thing is, those projects, those committees must be like probing those. You must use that money for which it was allocated for that. Is it for the that housing for the nursing? For nursing, just mentioning part of it. So for education. For infrastructure, whatever it is, borrowed for. Yes. Let it be used for that purpose. Because if it is not used for that purpose, then it's become a loss. Number one, I would want to ask if Mr. Sani Uba of Kaduna State was able to do all he did for 2 years. Yeah. I think Edo State should match that.
It's an oil-producing state.
I think Edo State should match that, if not exceed it.
Did Sani Uba go borrowing?
Well, I've not really gone into the room for that. Most likely it will.
They borrowed.
I think to sum it up here, what the Edo State government...
and somebody is still owing them, so they still have 400 and something, allegedly, they still have 400 and something million. So
I think at this point, where Edo State should stand is, they need to now grow public trust. Okay, we are taking this money, everybody trusts us that we're going to use this money for it. If they can just emphasize that, this 100 billion, we will not squander it. We will keep up to date of everything that is happening with this money. Anytime we spend, this is who is taking the money. This is a contractor for a particular job. The communities can monitor these projects. I think that one, nobody will be afraid.
Okay. While we know Edo State is the home of the paramount ruler, the Oba of Benin, and he's well revered down there, and there's a whole lot of red and palm oil stuff there. You can make sure things work. We'll move straight to the next.
He shocked me too.
To the next story.
Yeah.
And this has to do with the Port Harcourt refinery. Now,
finally,
this beautiful Port Harcourt refinery of ours remains inactive. Ooh. Now, for more than a month after it was shut down, after we were told it's technically working. Mechanically working.
Choice of words important.
Right now, it's almost like electronically working. Despite assurance that it would resume operations within 30 days, 6 months earlier, the facility is still not working. And then we were told it was 100% working. They were told it was 70% working. Capacity this, capacity that, rehabilitation here. But industry stakeholders now say the repair was incomplete. Since when? By who? From where? Now, with key components like the petrol blending units missing, this is where we need to start talking. Similar concerns are also being raised about the Warri refinery, which also shut down shortly after it was relaunched. The shutdowns have intensified calls from oil marketers and private sector players for the immediate privatization of Nigeria's state-run refineries, citing inefficiency and mismanagement. That is serious matter. Now, we all know that the EFCC is probing the $7.2 billion, let me say it again, $7.2 billion disbursed for the turnaround maintenance of Port Harcourt, Warri, and Kaduna refineries. Turnaround maintenance for refineries that were not even working in the first place. Several senior officers and officials, including former NNPC CFO Umar Issa, are under investigation. Okay, they are not locked yet. For alleged corruption, diversion of funds, and abuse of office. Dear ladies and gentlemen, men of God, when are we going to start telling ourselves some basic truth?
Well, first off, I'm not happy with whenever I hear that the Port Harcourt refinery is not active. I'm not happy because it is one way or the other active. Because there are members of staff there that are receiving salaries.
No. So that's some activity?
There's some activity.
Okay.
Yes, because there are people who drive there in the morning and leave in the evening. I don't know what they do there, but they are going there. So there's some sort of activity going on there.
You have to keep the machines from rusting. The oil.
Well,
I have no words to say to that. But the truth of the matter is, you know, when the whole, some 2 years or so, because it was 2023 December, they came forth and said, oh, we're mechanically, you know, ready, we're ready to go all out. And then they kept pushing until finally sometime last year, I think October or thereabout, they said, oh, yes, we are finally refining. And everybody was excited.
70%.
Well, and then the question came up as regards were they refining or were they blending? What exactly were they doing there? And then there was also reports coming from the community members saying that there's nothing happening here. And then what we are hearing on the outside is that there's work going on there. And then the last thing we heard was that 200,000 liters or 200 million liters or so, I don't know, 2-something liters of barrels of oil, you know, came out of that refinery. Whether it was blended there or it was refined there, that's a big question, you know, that we also have there. So as regards maintenance, as regards turnaround maintenance, as regards rehabilitation, that's semantics, actually. So are we rehabilitating or we're maintaining? Because that's another issue that we also need to focus on. Are we rehabilitating or we're maintaining? What exactly is going on at our refineries? These are big questions.
These are questions that you are looking for answers.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me
come to you. 2023, Nigeria spent 25 billion, as in the last 10 years before 2023, 25 billion on this refinery.
Yeah.
Monthly.
As at 2023, we're still importing every one of the components that that we're supposed to be refining those refineries. Should we be asking for the heads of every single person that has headed that operation?
Yeah, because as at now, the problem with NNPC is no longer technical. It is now governance. At this point, it's not whether the NNPC machines are working, because they can work if they put in the right people there and then the commitment. But as it is, it's governance, it's planning. Because since, let's even try to be recent, 2015, 2016, 20 to 2019, you'll be surprised that with the amount of money that we have spent, you don't even have things that are coming out of it. Just like Bola rightly said, there's blending. Today they'll tell you it's a refinery. Whatever name they want to call it. At the end of the day, we are still importing. So like you asked, truly, right now, thank God the EFCC has started probing the executives. When you let them go scot-free, they feel like this is business as usual. But we can tell them no, because this is public money. This is public trust. Because, funny enough, I think I was one of the people that said, oh, thank God, though, the refineries are now coming on. I was even on Twitter, okay, X, sorry, that's what they call it now. And I was arguing like, yeah, those of you who felt Nigeria will not get back up again, there's now proof. And then now they're making me look like an idiot, because all the people that was fighting
for them look like
an idiot.
Okay, let's pause on that particular thing. You are not an idiot.
I know, of course, I'm not.
Dear Priye, you don't need to hold your cheek.
I think we should hold Priye responsible.
That's exactly.
Did you do PR too? I hope it did not do PR. I hope it did not do PR too.
That's exactly where I'm heading to, because I wish Doctor was here.
I hope we did not do PR too, because I felt embarrassed.
Now,
he did. I can assure you that he did.
Also in the same period when these monies were spent,
yes,
we had Dangote build a refinery for less than that. less than 25 billion. Now, to this 25 billion, also add the 7.4 billion.
How many years was 25 billion?
You said
how many years?
And in 2015.
In 1 year.
This money was spent in 10 years.
10
But now,
years.
add-
Because I know it cannot be.
Yes.
2015.
It's not
2015,
25
2020.
billion in 10 years.
Yes.
No.
we've
And
not
that's
added-
in,
we've not
that's
added
in
the recent
dollars.
7.4.
No.
That's in dollars.
No.
That's in
Dollars.
dollars.
We've not added the
That's
7.
not in naira,
We've
it's
not
in
added the
dollars.
recent one.
That 7.2
Is in
just
dollars.
one.
Yes.
Because
The
I
one
know
that
that's
brought us
vivid.
here.
This particular 25 is
Billion.
10 years before 2023. Not
Yes. Not
So we
so.
count from 2013 to 2023. That's 10 years.
That's 10 years, yes.
Now, after 2023, another 7 points.
Set, entered,
and
yes.
Spent. So, dear Priye, with this humongous amount that could have built 2 refineries,
Brand new.
Brown, thank you for.
Now, if we go by the standard of Dangote, you can't build 2, you can just build 1.
Okay, even if you just have.
Even if it's one and
Even if
there's
you
still
just
another
have.
one, and there's still another one ongoing.
Yes.
Dear Mr.
Mr.
Priye
Krumale.
Oh, sorry.
From the Niger
Your
Delta.
Excellency, dear Priye Krumale. At
NDDC
this
people.
point in time, do you think the EFCC, ICPC, which other one again?
Native.
Who should we be holding responsible?
At this point, bring all of them up.
Only if we calculate those 10 years, politically we can look at 2 administrations.
Okay.
No, you look at one
true.
and a half administration actually. 1.5 administration.
Why is it 2 years?
4 years, then 2 years into another new administration.
Okay.
Yes, so we're looking at 1.5
Also.
administration.
Where are we going?
So if we
Because when you take 2 years of Jonathan,
if we look at this, it's very, very easy to know or to see that it is intentional not to make these refineries work. It is very, very strategic and intentional not to make them work.
Whose intention?
The administrations
that were there.
yes, those administrations that gave up this money to be spent. Because the reason why I came to the conclusion that it's just not just in 1 year was because during the Buhari administration, there was a specific year that they actually doled out $1.5 billion.
Yes.
Majority of the 25 came during the Buhari era.
Buhari administration, there was a specific period of time, $1.5 billion, and I was like, $1 billion turnaround maintenance for these refineries.
Is the roundabout that big that they're turning around?
At this point, it's like a cooking pot.
what
So you just keep spinning and spinning.
maintaining?
Try it to
Of
God.
course, because we
Why are we
know.
maintaining something that is not in use?
So, see, because when we need people to talk about this, you need experts who
Yes.
are in the field. And it was during this conversation that one of the experts came and said, look, hey, we're not even refining, we're blending.
That's
And you
of
see,
recent.
That's of recent.
That was
I
recent.
think it should be
That was
last
recent.
month. I guess not.
Okay.
Last month, he came and said, look, we're not even refining, we are blending. That currently we do not have the refining capacity because most of the infrastructure in that refinery, if peel-free is not even taking place. So the thing is this, we are not, it is a racket.
Who should we hold responsible?
The administrations that were responsible for giving out this turnaround maintenance.
Okay.
And
Who
those
were
are-
the
that
minister?
administration-
Who was the minister of
Thank you,
Petroleum
Mr.
Resources?
Pre. That's
The
where I'm going
presidents
to.
of those
The president
administrations.
and the minister.
The
were
minister
one
of
person.
state, yes. The minister of state.
No, Minister of Petroleum.
Yes, now, the president,
Was one
most of the president served as the minister of petroleum.
Yes.
Most of the
That's
president.
right.
Then we now have the minister of state for petroleum resources.
Yeah.
Currently, as we speak, is Heineken Lokbobri from Bayelsa State. So, if the Tinubu administration does not, does not deviate or become different from what his predecessors have done, then we should hold him and Minister Lokbobri.
Okay, when you say
What about-
deviate,
what
what can
about
be
the
done
past?
differently?
Yeah,
What
about
can
the
be done
past.
differently? When you say deviate,
Let-
what can he do differently?
From his predecessors, because they spent 25 billion and we're still in this state. Doing it differently is that whenever we are going to spend in this current administration, they have to come out clean.
Okay.
They-
Can I-
they-
can I-
they-
can
his
I-
refinery
can I
in
ask-
6
can I-
years.
Can I ask a question?
If he-
6
So,
years
so
of
this
issues.
is, see,
If he
Jukes,
has 8 years, maybe because, the way things are going, I don't know, let me not say anything. But, if he has 4 years and he has, even if that is all the legacy that he's going to leave behind, for his administration,
A state refinery?
I don't know. It's an option. You mentioned the fact
Yeah,
that
we could
all
do
of
that.
this money that we have spent on anything. Has not changed anything. We can rather let's just build then. Let's just start.
But the irony. I remember.
Can I ask a question? Let's now. If we build a new refinery, who are we handing it over to? You know, this same.
That's what I'm saying. But this was. I don't know whether it was a project that started and stopped. The former vice president Osibajo commissioned a couple of modular refineries, smaller ones, that you could have in states.
Those are private initiatives.
That's what I'm saying. Because what you have now, what we have now is
Private.
a Dangote refinery in smaller places.
NNPC,
so people are calling more private refineries rather than you have the state, like when I say state, the country, running refineries for so many years and pumping in money. I think it gives leverage to what Bola was saying. As regards, people are just going there to work. You pay their salaries and the earnings, but nothing's happening.
Those people are
not that's property.
But the please, no, the conversation on the modular, what I was driving was the conversation about modular refineries.
Okay.
Nobody's talking about it anymore because he commissioned so many of them. And the essence of it was so that
was it that he commissioned or he licensed?
He commissioned them now.
No, commissioned. That there
are
see, we've talked about this sometime last week or 2 weeks
sometime in sorry, I'm not that old. But sometime in 1998,
yes.
A president commissioned a library in one of the very big schools.
Yes.
Till today, as we speak, the library is not.
I don't like this.
So we need to really understand. We need to understand when you say commission. What is commissioned?
Yes. So one of the things that can be done differently, because they've muted the idea again of privatizing these refineries.
Okay.
And of course, Nigerians will come out and say, no, please don't sell
Who would even collect it? After
However, the second thing is, I have been thinking about this for almost a decade.
You want to buy it?
The state governors.
The state governors, okay.
Take over it.
Yeah.
No, just a moment. Just a moment. Just a moment. Okay. You said one of these states are owing what? 500 billion?
Edo State is owing over 500 billion.
What? Naira?
Dollars.
$500 billion.
Rivers is richer than Edo State.
Now, we're talking about river states. Because this particular refinery is in river state. So, if government wants to sell it, because this Niger Delta, they feel like, okay, it is, we own this,
yes.
We have this, we want to make sure, then buy it.
Run it.
That's why we're holding you responsible.
Run it.
Because they're from
buy it and run it.
Yes.
And you don't have to pay back at once. There should be a framework for a strategic period of time that the state government can pay back. And I sincerely think that River State can efficiently run a refinery for itself. I think Delta State could do the same. I think other states...
100% I agree with you. Because, the irony, I remember a documentary that I watched.
Okay.
When they checked most of what these young men in that Delta do, when they were producing their own kerosene, which was very, very scarce.
Illegal refineries.
I didn't want to call it that, but I mean... But what these guys said they were doing, they were providing services to almost all the communities in their areas for kerosene that our refineries could not even do. So that's why I'm giving credence to create modular refineries, because that gigantic structure that the federal government cannot maintain and run around, it's expensive.
One of the advantages of the gigantic structure,
okay.
One of the advantages of the gigantic structure is the same advantage that the Dangote refinery peddles about, that makes it what it is in the country. Not just that. The fact that it can do. I'm not saying that is exactly what it is. I'm talking about the byproducts that come from that that will be used for other industrial purposes. That is the advantages that come with the gigantic structure compared to the modular refinery that cannot operate in that capacity. So, back to the same thing. If a private entity is going to come and buy it, I think the government should not give it to one of its cronies. That is why I will advocate that the state should take it.
They will do that.
But the state will do the same thing, no?
Why we keep looking for solutions for these refineries? We want you out there to join this conversation. We don't talk enough. We just pay lip service and say, we need to keep talking. If we don't talk enough, then we can't gather. If we can't gather, then we can't put pressure on those that we are supposed to put pressure on. So let's talk, and we won't stop. Now let's still move ahead. We're still talking about oil and gas. Fuel marketers have called on the federal government to act swiftly as rising global oil prices driven by Iran, yes, they are in conflict, and Israel conflict threatens to push petrol prices above 1,000. We need to just deal with this despite temporary drop in crude prices below $70. Now, this particular issue, it's still within the same refinery issue. Yes. Now we are in 2025. Israel, Iran have decided to punch, bomb, and wound each other. Thank God it's ceasefire.
Israel has chilled. Okay.
No, it's ceasefire, but oil prices have gone up.
Yeah.
Following oil prices, Dangote prices will also go up. And as we speak right now, for those that noticed, yesterday, 2 days ago, the pump price went up. Deep way.
It dipped briefly.
It went up
slightly yesterday.
Some pump stations are selling for 915, some are selling for even 1,000. Now, the question we should start asking ourselves, as Nigeria, not as Nigeria, should what is happening in international markets affect our pump price?
This is energy poverty.
Thank you.
This is just basically what it is.
Because that's the question that you ask. You ask it every day. Like how we as an oil producing country, right, still have to be dependent on whatever prices that the other people give us. Because at the end of the day, we only still export our crude and we don't refine ours.
We don't go to refine.
What's the I don't understand. Yeah, how much does he can even reach the capacity of Lagos?
Dangote cannot fulfill the daily consumption for Nigeria. Daily consumption as at last time is 66 million. That's what they said. That's what they said according to statistics. So if
was it the statistics for collecting subsidy money or statistics for these are things we need to iron out.
I'm not.
Which statistics is that exactly?
I will not say anything about that.
Okay.
Yes, but 66 million according to them is the daily consumption. And what's Dangote's capacity? 650,000 barrels per day. Yes. Now, yes, he said he has, as at last year, he said he had a few million, available. But this is Dangote that doesn't only cater to local needs, but he's also considering, or he has also started, catering to international needs as well, because he's a businessman. And there's a reason why the Dangote refinery is in the free trade zone, so that it's easier for him to do international business as well. So Dangote alone cannot, feed our local consumption. It's very unfortunate. We have 4 refineries in this country. Those are not working. None of them is active. None of them is working. None of them is dependable. It's really unfortunate that even our OPEC quota, we cannot meet.
Okay, let's keep the gist on price.
As an oil producing, as an oil producing nation that we are, it's very unfortunate that this issue, this global oil issue now, is affecting us. Yes, it would affect, but it's not supposed to affect us in-house. All right? It's not supposed to affect us in-house, because what this means, right, now is that because we don't have refining capacity, we're importing. We're importing not just refined stuff, we're importing even crude, which is really unfortunate at this point. I don't even know where it's
now at this point,
crude, we're importing refined, we're importing crude, we're importing refined product, even as an oil producer.
It's not with Dangote.
The country. Because NNPC also imported 140-something million liters of barrels. Liters, actually.
Barrels.
Refined products. It's liters.
Refined products?
Yes.
If you're talking about refined products.
Yes,
it's liters. We've been in that trap since.
Refined products.
But,
and so we're just poor. So it's like Priye has yam, and then Priye has yam. All Priye needs to do is cook the yam and pound the yam and have pounded yam. But no, Priye has yam at home, but he's still buying pounded yam outside. Is Priye wise?
Of course, yes, Priye is very wise. Now, let's come to you, Priye. At this juncture, we have Build still building. We have Smith, Walter Smith, or also Smith, one of the Smiths. That is complete. We have a few other modular refineries that have been completed. Do you see us having this issue of not being able to distribute refined products internally and refining internally in 2 years?
Okay, first of all, if Priya has yam, and it's not counting, maybe it's National Reserve. No, America was doing that.
They still do it.
That's what America should still do it. So this is great, National Reserve. Maybe it's reserving them. So for the price, right? If you look at the suggestion that was, provided, suggested to the federal government, that look, average income Nigerians may not be able to, afford the price of premium motor spirit because it's going to go to 1,000 naira, like you said, and it's going to, make worse what we currently have on ground, and it's not good. So they were telling the government, go back to the naira for crude agreement. The quota that you are going to, we said it on this table, the quota that you are going to give to Dangote using that contract, naira for crude, put a price cap to it as a way of providing a cushioning for the poor man. So the other one that Dangote is going to access from US, from Algeria, and from Angola, he has the right to give it whatever price he wants to sell it. In other words, the government itself is, if you are giving Dangote naira for crude exchange, you are still going to give him other benefits because you are going to put a cap on it.
Mr. Krumale, Dangote still cannot satisfy.
No, I'm not going with the fact that he's going to satisfy. No. Okay. That's why I see that quota.
Okay.
You're still going to give to other private refineries that are modular refineries.
Okay.
So put a quota on all those, because those are the ones that the government has some form of leverage to discuss.
Okay.
And it's not even just power, outright power. You're going to have to bring them to a table to now discuss.
You mean regulate them?
The regulation will not be by, you don't make that regulatory power by, that regulatory rules by autonomy.
Oh, okay.
Because you need to pacify them.
Yes. So that's why you were saying giving them some other incentive.
Yes.
Okay.
So that so as to provide a buffer for the poor man to be able to, because if not, forget it, it's going to be bad and worse. And for the other part, that is where Nigeria, then the part that we are going to be ferrying out of the country, because that's where we get our foreign earnings from, in dollars, that will provide a soft landing for the Nigerian naira.
What are we ferrying out? Crude or
crude,
fuel? Okay.
Crude, out of the country. Okay. That's the one that the government is now going to enjoy and say, oh, now it's $80, Abi.
So I'm going to cut you.
That is $80, Abi.
Do you know why? Because we have too many crude for loan agreements in Nigeria.
Obligations, yes.
Too many crude for loan obligations. So even crude that we have not yet taken.
Now that you Now that you went
it's already repayment for some loans.
To who do we owe this agreement to? And what quantity?
The people that we're owing.
And what time frame are we supposed to fulfill this agreement?
China?
See.
No, hold on. Because
China.
As we speak, I still don't know. We're still finding out who. So since you are in the know, tell us.
Okay, hold on.
Yes.
But the truth is, we have a lot of.
We have a lot
of.
Who?
China. Infrastructure they built for our country,
and you have
how long there's a lot of loan that repayment is crude.
Yes.
There's a lot of them. There's a lot of. So if
some of them go as far as 5 years.
Do you understand why we are asking? Yes. Because a lot of these agreements were entered without Nigerians.
No details.
We don't know. How many things do we know normally? No.
No, it was asking you as a PR person of the government.
A lot of these other agreements were entered without even Nigerian.
I wasn't there either.
Who said you were not there? We are going on a very short. We are going on a very short break. And when we return, remember, we'll smile up. This country, it must work.
Let's
not go anywhere.
Take Nigeria because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Said is going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizen diplomacy. See something. This is Souq Business Landscape. Welcome back to your show. Welcome back to SBL. This is Souq Business Landscape. We are here, every one of us. We're still having fun. We are talking, and we mean business. Now, we want to see Nigeria grow, so do you. So don't keep quiet. Now, remember, you can follow us and join the discussion on all the social media platforms. So go to Souq News TV everywhere. Say something. Tweet at us, and we will reply. Follow us, and we'll follow you back. Let's get straight to the second story. Nigeria has deepened its agricultural ties with Brazil through the 1 billion Green Initiative project aimed at deploying mechanized farming solutions nationwide. Now, our Vice President Kashim Shettima, he praised the initiative during the second Nigeria-Brazil strategic dialogue in Abuja. This happened just this same week. He described this as something that is very positive and a turning point for bilateral relations built on practical cooperation. He stressed the need for result-driven agreement with timelines, noting the project's potential to boost food security, which is very important, create jobs and agricultural productivity across the country. Meanwhile, the House of Representatives passed a bill for the second reading to make agricultural science, now listen very well again, to make agricultural science a core subject in all Nigerian secondary school. To put it in perspective, to make agricultural science compulsory. You can't speak English and don't know how to farm. You can't be speaking English and be going hungry. This particular bill was sponsored by Alex Ebona of Cross River State. The bill aligns with President Bola Tinubu's renewed hope agenda on food security and economic recovery. Yes. Now, people of God, this is where we are heading to. Oyinpreye Krumale, the only one that have said, let's leave the honorable for now. Brazil, Nigeria, $1 billion deal. Now, what are we looking at? We're looking at mechanized farming, delivering equipment, mechanized farming, training, service centers. How good is this good?
Well, we have spoken, if we cast our minds back, probably on Monday, we're having that conversation here. And remember, we talked about
sex agriculture.
And we talked about, yes, agriculture, making it appealing.
Okay, so we're now going to Brazil.
Agriculture appealing to, I think he's probably using that word because he's trying to get
to get people
so to make agriculture appealing. And I remember when we had that conversation, Obalende and I were making like, okay, mechanized farming, yes, training, agrotech and all of that. Maybe the president watched the program. So $1 billion, that's what the Brazilian vice president.
That's what this deal,
okay. Yes, and this deal came because, there have been conversation about it before now, and the vice president from Brazil came to see Mr. President, and this is where, just to strengthen economic and business and trade ties with one of the most populous nations in the world. So if we look at Nigeria and we look at Brazil, and economically how Brazil is flying and they are representing in the global stage.
The agric sector, to be precise.
Yes. We expect that we'll be doing the same too, because if I get my facts quite right when it comes to farming, fish farming and fisheries in Brazil, they are also doing very, very well in that aspect. So most of the substantial part of this money will be going for equipment in agriculture.
Okay.
Talking about tractors. Now, the second aspect of the story also is good to take into consideration.
Which one?
Where the House of Representatives.
No, hold on. Before we get to that particular place, let me get to you, Emmanuel. Now we're looking at mechanized farming. We're looking at equipment. So apart from tractors, you have planters, you have harvesters, you have ridgers, you have all sorts, both for spraying chemicals and all that. If we are looking at this amount of money, we've not really seen the details of this deal. Brazil stands more to benefit, because if we are looking at this particular equipment, we are going to bring them this way. It's not going down that way, which means somehow there will be payments for this particular equipment. But there are also companies that manufacture tractors in Nigeria.
Yes.
We've not seen them in the equation in all this deal. do you want to see them somewhere around?
Of course, I want to see them. And to be honest, they actually exist. Because I remember interviewing one of the man who is even trying to come to the Southwest. He's been in the North. He does he's a mechanical engineer. So he's done his own, he's got his own brand. And he said most of the governors in the North are patronizing him already. Right? And less than 2 months ago, I remember interviewing him. So yes, they exist. And I would like to see more. It wasn't funny enough, trying to digress again. The president himself started talking about Nigeria first kind of thing. So of course, you want to hear those kind of monies that they populate into these things go into those kind of contracts. Have them do these mechanical machines for you to make farmings sexy. Let's like to put the word aside. Get people also interested in it. However, where may I now ask my question is mechanized farming the missing piece from transcending from subsistence farming, which many of us do to survive? Even in places where there are crises like, the farmers are not allowed to go to farm, what most of us do is just farming so that we can eat. But is mechanized farming going to translate that subsistence farming to commercial one? Because at the end of the day, if you make these machines available, right, and the farmers don't know how to use them, it now looks like another project that you wasted money into it.
Okay, can I come in there? Okay, just 2 minutes before I get to you.
Yes.
But now, for mechanized farming, growing up, I had some time spent in the North. And they have vast lands that is just as long as your eye can see.
Arable lands.
And thank you very much. Very fertile. Now, for them, they did not enjoy mechanized farming, except for few that were very close to the local government. Okay. Now, what was the local government doing? Local government will come on their own and reach the land. Yes. Okay. So if you can do 12 kilometers, no problem. They will send they will send the tractors there and they will reach the land for you. They will send the machine there and they will also fumigate for you. They will spray insecticides for you. So you see, it will help produce better. Now they're also looking at training also and farm centers, which the local farmer can't buy a tractor. He can't own a tractor.
He can't even maintain it.
Good.
It's only for large scale. This thing is just for large scale.
If you have local governments that will come in and take off from federal government and take off from because they are the ones that are closer to the people. Okay. They can now operate directly with the farmer. Okay. Now, if we remember, we also used to have extension service workers. What happened to them? These are questions we really need to ask. What happened to extension farmers? Because extension workers, because they were moving from local government, that they were interfacing directly with the farmers. So any question and any issue localities had, the extension worker had solutions for it. Now we are having fertilizer distribution from federal government. It was never so before. It was direct, it was even beyond the local government, down to groups. You could just look at, if I'm living in Lekki, I know we have a group somewhere in, let's say, our own side of the street where we could get fertilizers. So the local government just had to deal with those particular groups, and the farmers had control of it. We need to go back to these basics. And just like you say, how can we make this farming more sexy so that people that are leaving school or the beautiful girl with all the embodiment of her beauty can look at farming and say, I'm going here?
Well, not just the beautiful girl with all the embodiment of her beauty, according to Chuck John Rogers, but even the young man, who thinks it's easier to be a benefit boy, to actually look into farming. Well, whilst this is, one way or the other, I love the attention that the agric sector is getting in recent times. I appreciate it. I appreciate the fact that we're looking at, non-oil alternatives. Thank you very much. That we can actually take advantage. And then some years ago, some very little, 30 years or so ago, agric was the second largest revenue generator in the country. It's unfortunate that now we're looking at tax as a revenue generator, but let's look past that. But the issue now is how to make it.
That's triple.
No,
don't worry.
I have
okay. Never want to catch it.
Okay. But the issue is how to make it appealing. Let me use the word according to Mr. Krumale for the youngsters now to get them into it. We talked about mechanized farming. Let's make it easier. It's no longer the days of going to the farm with your hoe and your cutlass and put your back into it under the scorching heat. You are there digging and everything. So let's look at mechanized farming. The funding is appreciated, but we have a corruption index in the country. We have a corruption issue in the country. We have transparency issue. We have accountability issue in the country. So I don't know if funding, would actually go along, or how far funding can go. Now, this agreement that we have now with Brazil, it's a memorandum of understanding. Are there loans involved? Is it going to add to our debt profile? We're looking at that. Is there anything that we have to pay back, inside all of this? Then, aside from that, make it look sexy. Mechanized farming, yes, it's amazing, but there's also a downside to mechanized farming. We're looking at land degradation as well. If we actually go into, full-on mechanized farming. And that's why you see even in other parts of the world, the western part of the world, yes, it have mechanized, but then you still have people still putting their back into it. You still have them employing people who have to go to China, go to the Philippines. These are places where, farming is a big deal. They actually go into it with their hand. They get dirty. All right. But then I don't know how else that it can actually be done. The truth is, the people of today now, they try to look at ways of making things easy. Yeah. And farming is not easy.
We must find that.
It takes patience. Yeah. It takes hard work. It takes a lot. I know a couple of,
eating is easier.
Well, it depends.
Okay, so this is a
couple of people who came together. They pooled money together. Yeah. All right. They pooled money together and they bought a few acres of land. Okay. All right. And then what they did was they don't know anything about farming. They don't know anything about agriculture. They just employed people that do know about it and said, okay, you guys get to work.
Did it work? Did it work?
It is, yes.
It worked.
So they are using it for personal use now, and then also commercial.
Beautiful. Now,
so if we can have stuff like that, not just up north, let's come down a bit. Because logistics is a huge, big problem in our food security issue. Bringing this food down here is a big issue. So aside from, yes, we have arable land up north, but let's come to the west. What's happening? Let's see what the west can also offer.
Everybody needs to come to the table.
Everybody needs to come to the table.
Okay, now this is our last bit on this particular issue. Now, just a few days ago, the president commissioned about 2,000 tractors and some other equipment. Yeah. Now we are having this coming in from Brazil. How are we going to maintain this equipment?
What do they give?
Maintaining the equipment, for me, I don't even think it's a big problem.
Okay. Depends on who they give.
My concern, first of all, is that Nigeria is also a country that manufactures tractors.
Yes.
But the thing is, our level of manufacturing tractor does not prevent them from also importing tractors.
Yes.
We also import tractors, and we have assembling companies here too.
Yes.
So my concern is that the $1 billion, please, and those tractors that you talked about, the president, bringing out, do they buy it from the local manufacturers? Because if we do not buy these tractors from the local manufacturers, that $1 billion that we are talking about, if we spend it importing tractors, we have lost on two sides.
Yes, it leaves three money away.
Yeah, it's obviously because we have to find a way to retain that money within the economy. Because if you buy from the local manufacturers, they've seen market, and they are going to go back to production again. Yes. What would that do? What would be the effect of that? Is that manpower will come in again, manufacturing is going to pick up again, then the money will be within the local in Nigeria, and the aspiration of the current administration to have a $1 trillion economy. If we replicate that in not only in agriculture, in some other sectors within the country too, then we can say we are making some form of progress in that.
Well, I think one other thing, because there's something else that was mentioned in
the bill.
The agricultural science.
Agricultural science, a core subject. Well, that is amazing. It is beautiful. Agriculture was compulsory up until SS1. For me, at least. I don't know what's happening in schools nowadays, But unfortunately, we have a lot of agricultural science graduates in the bank.
Yeah, but right now.
It's an issue. No, it's an issue because now
they were looking for jobs. There were no
people
jobs
to
anyway.
share the knowledge now are strong.
Now, when we start teaching
agriculture, how many teachers do we have?
Wait, because I think where else going to come from?
Okay.
Are we ready for mechanized teaching. Because hang on. Let's not do that ourselves. While we're all in school, because this is targeted at secondary school.
Yes.
To get the younger people to be interested.
The bill is for secondary school.
We are teaching them mechanized farming.
No, agricultural science.
Agricultural science.
Yes, agricultural science. And essentially is to get spark their interest into agriculture.
Yes.
Right? And now we want to do it in a modern way. You know, we teach them things like hoe and cutlasses.
No.
Hang on. Because I remember, as far back as when I was in secondary school in the 2000s, right, early 2000s, when they were
If
teaching
you want to
us,
say 1982, just say 1982. You don't
I don't know why
I know that.
2000s. But it's okay.
Well, I mean, they were teaching us about tractors, how those kind of
In the books.
in the books.
In books. We didn't write
Right?
tractors.
Even some of the things that were not even
They didn't
mechanized.
take us to the farm.
We
to
didn't
write
even
tractors.
see some of these implements. Right? But you want to spark my interest to meet 21st century agriculture. I've not even seen 19th century agriculture tools.
Can I say something?
Hold on, because we need to close.
Because we have not on farm.
Hold on.
I want to quickly say something, please.
Hold on, please. Apologies for your secondary school, right? Let me apologize. Sorry. We are going to study agric science. So if your child is going to secondary school, she will study agric science. I'm sorry. Apologies, please. Now, let's just touch this for just a few minutes so that we'll go, because this is very important.
Yes.
There's this particular agreement, memorandum of understanding that was signed between Nigeria and India. And this is specifically to mark that word, block the production of codeine-based syrups intended for importation into the country. Now, people of God, we have 4 minutes.
Just rush it.
And I want to talk about this. We've had a pandemic. It's gone beyond where we have not just adults but minors having access to codeine and codeine-based syrups. Do you think this particular agreement with India is on the right side? Because over 60% of the codeine that comes into this country is
from there.
Thanks to India. Are we on the right path?
I think we are on the right path, but it can still be subverted.
Okay.
It can be subverted because those unscrupulous people in Nigeria who import this codeine, and probably their intention is for the objective use of the codeine, but the people who buy it can use it to
pure and innocent outlook.
So the thing is, when the federal government has struck this agreement with India, like, look, any Nigerian that comes to you to say he wants to get codeine and ship it into our country, please no. And this agreement is reached. If you bring
Is India the only producer?
No. The thing is, Nigerians or some other importers could go to India and say, good, I know you have agreement with the government of my country, so I'm not going to breach that agreement and I'm not going to influence you to do that. Okay. However, could you please get these codeines ready and ship them to Ghana for me?
Okay.
Thank you. Then it gets to Ghana.
Question.
Then he takes it from Ghana and brings it to Nigeria.
Togo.
Okay.
So we still have a lot of work to do.
Aside from that,
can you please cancel?
Are you warning me?
Your CSI.
No, but my major concern as regards this is good, but we are being proactive. I don't know but my major concern will be if we can't bring it in, then the people in will find a way to concoct.
To concoct.
And to create it.
Oh, good.
So it will increase, what I mean is it will increase local production.
Local production of, now, it's easier to curb local production of codeine if you know where it's being produced.
It's not easy because Ukpuru Miri is going around everywhere.
No, thank you very much. I'm just saying.
Ukpuru Miri is everywhere.
Crystal mate.
Yes,
now,
it's everywhere. And they say it's local, it's herb.
It's not locally produced. They are all still coming in. The things
synthetic drugs.
The things that is making it are important.
That's what I'm saying. So if we are not bringing codeine, we can bring the basis.
Okay. Now,
and they come and put it together here.
Assemble center.
I'm coming. Yes. For every single shipment that leaves every country to the next from
destination,
from departure to destination is recorded, whether legal or illegal. Now, apart from signing,
mostly legal.
Apart from even illegal, it's recorded. Yes, somehow. Apart from signing this kind of bilateral agreement, do you think Nigeria should go further and make sure every logistics company drops a manifest for Nigerian drug law enforcement. Once any of this is moving, because that is what countries we are copying.
Abba Kyari,
I don't even understand. The countries we are copying, that is what they do. So for every single component, whether it's the finished product or the component for that particular thing, they drop manifest.
So this is it. So this is it. So it doesn't look like we are reinventing something.
Yes.
Or we are doing an innovation. Many of these things already exist. It's just that the system is weak. Because what Bola was saying is, look, once you block this one, they'll find another one.
Good.
Priya said the same thing. Then the structures are weak.
While we are looking at finding another one, can't we all just say no?
No to
Say no to
but you see, but the irony is, just like Priya said, initially, codeine was not even known to be a drug. It was a drug, but not as a prescribed drug. But people now found out that, if I take this codeine, it will become intoxicating, and then you can get one kind of high feeling. It was meant to be a drug to fix a particular problem for kids.
I don't know if people drink it.
It's syrup. So it was initially, it was something you just pass and I don't even like the taste. Then you have someone that says, if I take too much of it.
People are getting high from the smell of gutters, dirty gutters.
Yes.
So if they stop the importation of codeine, people
they go to another one.
Okay, now if you decide to go to the Souq away and get high, sorry, because your hell did not just start today. Let's have our closing remarks for today. Emmanuel, let's say you happen to be the Minister of Interior. Tell us, from the petroleum issue to the codeine issue.
So that it doesn't look like we are saying something exoteric. Many of them know these things. Our border security needs to improve.
Okay.
It's beyond. Why did the US put us as in their latest countries that they likely would ban? It's because our biometrics, something as big as biometrics, is poor. How can you say somebody is moving from country A to country B and you don't even know his fingerprints when people are already going beyond fingerprints? Somebody they arrested one of the kingpins in Lagos recently.
You know this is a summary.
Yes.
Yes,
please. It's going to
because the things are just pouring into my head. Okay. One person can have like 10 different passports. What is the biometrics doing? So something as simple as that. Fix our borders to a point that even if you are going to our nearby countries as Togo, when you see the stringent rules that you need to pass, you consider before you do certain kind of things.
Border, okay. It is not bins to pass, actually.
So you're not going from here to anywhere, and that's easy.
But, and when we're talking about borders, Nigeria currently shares, borders with Niger. About 7 different states in Nigeria.
Can enter there.
You can enter Niger through 7 different states in Nigeria. So I think border porosity is a big issue. But that's not even where I'm going to come from. I'm just going to come from, let us stop squandering. We get so much money. We can afford to always get money. But let us just stop squandering. I'm not encouraging people to, be corrupt. But even if you're going to be corrupt, just leave small for the good of the country. Please, we hear
it's a problem.
It's a serious problem.
Even if you're going to steal,
we are begging. We hear billions, we hear trillions every day, and these monies come in. The other day, it was Abacha who keeps giving us.
Santa Claus.
Santa, he keeps giving us. The other time is Dezani, he keeps giving and keeps giving. The other time was the Paris. Emefiele also started giving as well. Okay. We have so many people giving, but where are these funds going to? So please, dear people who are in charge of our funds, let us know what you are using these funds for. Even if you're going to take, okay, just at least leave small for us. And I'd like to hear what Priya says regarding
please don't follow around.
So that they can take.
Okay, for me,
Mr. Chooks will take if it's there.
Leadership. Leadership is key. What makes the difference between the United States of America, or what makes the difference between a very, very successful economy and those that are just trying to catch up, even though they have the resources to be a successful nation? It's just leadership. So it's obvious that we have that problem in abundance. Even those who preach it, now they are in the corridors of power, and they've seen that, look, they can't even, because they felt their friends that they are appointed into positions stole. they can't punish them. You are the problem.
Okay. Thank you very much for everyone that has been there with us today. It's been nice having you. My name is John Rogers Chooks. You've heard it all. Tomorrow we'll do this again. Be nice. Bye.
Because it's the mind that needs to first of all be rebranded.
Said is going to be putting Nigerian labor, Nigeria content and materials first.
If you say Nigeria first and it is just us down here that, you know, are pushing that agenda, it's going to be a big struggle.
Do you think Nigerian firms, Nigerian organizations should start looking at getting their staff involved in this market or buying to keep for their staff?
Within this side, let's also learn citizens. See something. This is Souq Business Landscape.